This is breaking news. Sean Farash, who's a Trump impersonator, tweeted, "I'm being swatted right now." He followed this up just about 15, 20 minutes ago, saying the sheriff's leaving the house now. So we will be checking for updates. We also had this tweet from Gunther Eagleman at 3:23. Of course, these are Sean. He's a comedian. He does Trump impersonations. If you've not heard it, they're quite good. They're funny. Gunther, of course, is a pro-Trump. He's a Trump supporter. I would say he's, I don't know, conservative is a fair estimate. He says the gloves are off. First off, my family is safe. My house was just swatted. Some ignorant F called in a fake hostage situation. Fortunately, I have good relations with law enforcement and extra patrols will be added. I don't tolerate threats and will find the culprit. This was their worst mistake. He says this won't stop me. I'm more determined than ever. Of course, we had this from Nick Sorter, where he posted this, I believe it was just this morning at 1 a.m. Both my dad and sister were swatted tonight. A dozen cops attempted to kick my dad's door in at gunpoint. This is literal effing terrorism, and the FBI should treat it as such. Before calling in the SWAT, the dumb-ish sent my sister an email calling me a Nazi, of course, so the motive is clear. And then, of course, from Post-Millennial, InfoWars host Chase Geiser swatted for a second time in 24 hours. This is over a period of just about 1 day. All of these people have been swatted. I'm concerned it's probably going to happen more. Donald Trump said the attacks in the Tesla facilities, the dealerships, will be treated as domestic terrorism. Mike Johnson said they are going to investigate these. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say, I think we're in for a hot summer of love 2.0, whatever you might expect. When we were talking about this yesterday, we actually had a caller in the uncensored portion of the show ask us, do we think it's going to be a crazy summer? And we said yes. Little did we know that only within a few hours, or in the next 10 or so hours, there would be several swattings of prominent right-wing personalities. Make no mistake, swattings are attempted murder. They don't always, and they rarely do, but the intention is so that police will kill the individuals. What they do is these people are calling in fake hostage situations where the cops believe they must storm in and save the life of individuals who are being threatened. There are several stories, but one in particular where a man was swatted over an argument about a video game. The police outside his home, bullhorn saying, "Come out of your house." He walked out and they shot and killed him. This is what they're trying to do to these personalities. I don't think we've seen the last of it.
I don't think we've seen the last of it. I mean, if you look at the temperature in the U.S., political temperature, I mean, clearly there's a lot of anger on the left, and they're lashing out in whatever way they can, whether it be swatting or they're, setting fire to Teslas and Tesla dealerships, shooting up Tesla dealerships, attempts on the president's life. The idea that this is just business as usual in the United States is a problem, and we need the FBI and the DOJ to come down on these people and throw the absolute book at them. I'm confident that the federal government can find out who these people are that are perpetrating these crimes. They should be picked up, and they should all be charged with terrorism, because that's the intent. It's political terrorism. There's no question about it. They're not swatting these people out of personal animus because, the guy didn't like the way he mowed his lawn or something. It was based on politics, and it's all aimed at the right. These people should be rounded up and put in jail for a long, long time.
I feel like that's unlikely to happen, though, because if you remember during Trump's first term, especially in the latter half, Antifa was incredibly active and yet did not face the consequences that you're hoping for.
I agree with you, and I hope that that's not the case.
Trump has a totally different administration this time. He's got way better people around him. We've already seen the first month of his presidency was probably the best month of any presidency in my lifetime. But is this ever going to go away? No, it's not, because for leftists, they believe that violence is resistance. They believe this is revolution. They believe they're justified in doing it. This is not new. This has gone on all over the world since the dawn of man. This is the same as the Bolsheviks in 1917 or the Red Guard in 1966. These people are communists, and they feel justified in doing their actions, so they're just looking for any excuse, and if they don't get it, they'll create one themselves.
I do think most of them are some form of communist, but I fear something worse. I think many of them are nihilists.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more than just anger, and it's more than just political extremism. they're feeling very resentful and disempowered right now. And when the right feels that way, instead we think about things and debate things and try our best to talk about our beliefs when we're not being censored, and we try to organize and do things in a politically sanctioned way. But as we can see, them, on the other hand, turn to violence.
Well, this is what the left will do. They'll get together an NGO because they're evil, and they'll get together some NGOs and some professors, and they'll say, okay, I got an idea. Let's create a group that we'll call the hard right, and we'll find 200 moderate conservatives, list them there. Then we'll find 10 psychopaths of disparate ideology, call them right-wing for some reason, and then claim we analyzed a group of over 300 right-wingers and found a high rate of violence and extremism. Then they release the report and say, this proves it. Then liberals go on YouTube and go on TV and say, look at the report that was just released by the Intelligence Institute. That proves it. And then you actually go in and you're like, I don't know. I think the guy who had a Star of David on his left cheek and a swastika on the right cheek was probably insane when he committed that act. And then what they do is they come out and they say he was right wing because he did X. Okay, the left at the highest level in politics have defended these people, have defended the violence. When a bunch of leftists set fire to a police station, where was the committee? Where was the George Floyd riot committee to go and investigate all of the riots across the country? Nowhere. In fact, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden helped fundraise for the people who got arrested in these crimes throughout these riots. Meanwhile, not a single person on the right has celebrated or defended any of the violence. In fact, when the McMichaels in the Ahmaud Arbery case got convicted, most conservatives came out and said, see, this proves we aren't racist. The media is still going to lie. They're still going to defend this. And it will always be a fact for anybody who's paying attention and knows what's going on. The left is violent. The right, and I mean the right as in regular Americans, they're not.
I still would like to see the administration do something. We do have a completely different DOJ. Well, I don't know about completely different. The people at the top are different in the DOJ. And the FBI is largely a different group of people at least people in the top. So, I mean, it's the only thing that I can really hope for, is that there'll actually be some kind of actual prosecution. Look at the way the 70s were, right? We were looking at it yesterday. There was I think it was in the first, from 71 to 72, there was 2,500 bombings in the U.S. And then throughout the rest of the 70s, there were, hundreds of bombings. So, I don't want to see that become the norm here now. I don't want to see that at all. So the only thing that we're left with is hoping the government does something about it.
Yeah, well, the bureaucracy is still dominated by Democrats. It's going to take time. 93% of the people who lived in Washington, D.C. voted for Kamala Harris. These are all the people running these three-letter agencies. So it takes some time to clean that up. It's going to take years. And we don't need just one term of Trump. We need 8 years of J.D. Vance to follow.
Yeah.
But I think with the guys at the top now leading all these different agencies, I think Trump's made great appointments and they will start cracking down on some of this. But they're all just individuals and one person can only do so much. So it's going to take time.
Well, I feel we're between a rock and a hard place. We want Cash, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino. Now, with all due respect to Cash and Pam, if there's anybody I trust to get the job done at the FBI, it's going to be Dan Bongino. We like Cash. He's a sound, smart, honorable guy. We've talked to him. He's great. A lot of people were curious about Pam Bondi because not very many know much about her. She's a prosecutor in Florida, I believe. Everybody knows Dan. Dan has told us explicitly in no uncertain terms. So next week, Dan Bongino is officially going to be at the FBI. I'm excited. And I believe that he may actually take care of this stuff. He's not going to sit around watching this stuff happen. That being said, there's a rock and a hard place in that the left wants this to happen. They want police to show up and arrest some teenager, charge him with terrorism, because they're going to use that and they're going to lie about it and they're going to go recruit. But you have no choice.
We have to stop worrying.
Stop it.
We have to stop worrying about what the left cares about. Their opinions are totally irrelevant. You just have to do the right thing. And I think it's a positive thing politically as well. In addition to being the right thing, it's positive politically to go after the people who are targeting Sean Farash, who are targeting Gunther Eagleman tonight, because all of the conservatives and the regular people don't want that sort of behavior to happen. And you send a big signal when you do it. when you go after these perpetrators, which I understand from you, they've never gone after any of the people who've swatted you over all these years.
Nope.
Did you find the culprit in any meaningful way?
So I can't. I don't want to give up too much information for security reasons. We believe we know how the swattings took place. We believe we know who was involved. And we've relayed that information to the feds, to local law enforcement. And there's also like the Postal Investigative Service, something like that. I don't know. I guess they have a post office because they were sending stuff in the mail. As far as I know, they did nothing. They never followed up with us one time. They don't care. Now, there was a guy that got arrested and convicted for perpetrating swattings. And I had a journalist reach out to me and say, hey, this was the guy that was swatting you, which is impossible. It's possible the individual was the one who actually picked up the phone and dialed the number. Sure. But if that's the case, it means the only way, let me put it this way, they have not solved the swattings against us. The arrest and conviction of one guy ignores the fact that what he did would have required specific individuals that we believe we know, and we've relayed the information to the feds. What we think was happening was that this guy, what I think, the guy who got arrested and charged, was effectively a swatting hitman, someone you could hire to take out swattings for you. I don't want to give into too many security reasons why, but let me just say, based on the swattings that occurred, I'll put it this way. I'll give a little bit of information. The locations that were swatted is information that is known to no one. Very few people were actually made aware of these locations. We know who these individuals were, and we relayed this information, and nothing is ever done about it. So I don't think they were ever brought to justice.
Yeah, someone's making a decision not to do something about that.
Yep.
These are individuals. It's not some nameless person, and they're all working for the administrative state. So hopefully the guys at the top bring a change to that culture.
Yeah, it was a big story. Someone even super chatted. Mega Bobson says, the guy who swatted Jeremy from the quartering just got a heavy prison sentence. The guy was found guilty of multiple swattings nationwide. And people keep saying, that's the guy, Tim. And I'm like, how did he get these secure location? How did he get the secure location information?
Right.
Has anyone bothered to ask that? Nope. Because he couldn't. There's no way this random guy on the internet had access to this information.
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald was a shooter, but clearly not the only one.
I'll put it this way.
There's always other people involved.
To better explain what I'm saying is, the way in which someone would have come to know this location would be to literally spy on our staff and follow them and stalk them. And then after a certain amount of time, discover hidden locations that are, unknown to the public. Why? For security reasons, we have property that is unknown to the public for a variety of reasons, which I'll keep private, but obviously like personal residence and stuff. There's no way anyone's ever going to find my address on the internet. It's impossible. Yet somehow certain locations were made known to this swatter, and we think we have evidence as to how that happened, but the feds just don't care. So I'm not convinced that even if they go after this guy, maybe with Dan, no disrespect to Cash or Pam, but Dan seems like the kind of guy who doesn't mess around. Cash, I think, he's running this thing, and I think he's going to go real high level with it. I kind of feel like, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, that he may be the guy who says, I got so many plates spinning. Do we want Cash to focus on a swatter, or do we want him to go after the lawfare, go after the corrupt officials? I'd say Cash, take go that route, get the job done for the country. Dan Bongino, on the other hand, seems like the kind of guy who's going to make big moves and hard law enforcement on the ground, you know?
Yeah, they also just need to delegate this. You take some staff members and you say, this is your responsibility. Just work on that. It's not that hard. They should do it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.